organization, company, commercial enterprise. We keep moving up from the bottom to the top in the value chain until we've exported the entire thing across the ocean somewhere. How do we develop our economy if we continue to do that? And how do we save the earth if we don't?
Okay. And then we'll try and get these two right behind you. And so, there we go.
Kind of along the, well, my name is Christopher Krause from the National Environmental Education Foundation, and sort of along the lines of what he was saying. I guess the question of jobs and comparative advantage, I'm just curious, one thing that I don't think was explicitly brought up is differences between countries in labor and environmental standards. I guess if there is going to be greater international cooperation on some of these technology issues, it almost seems incongruent to have this greater cooperation, but then to have potentially stark differences in labor and environmental standards. So I guess just if you could maybe address the issue of to what extent are these differences reflected in different genuine comparative advantages.
Okay.
And my name is Karen Shea. I'm with the Space Solar Power Information Service. And one technology that is getting away from the U.S. is space solar power, which was invented in the United States 40 years ago, which now the Japanese and the Europeans are investing in heavily. And the question is on, Peter Gerritsen came out with a paper this week saying that the U.S. and India should develop space solar power together. Does anybody have any comment on that?
Okay. So we've got a question on the cultural aspects of technology adoption, the innovator's dilemma question, a question about sort of how do we deal with differentiating labor and environmental standards in other countries, and then finally space solar power. Does anyone want to take a shot at pieces of that, Deborah?
Yeah. Sorry. There certainly is a huge need to just not dump technology on people's doorsteps without figuring out how do you diffuse them. So obviously there's issues of distribution, but there's a question also of looking for who's going to set models. So many countries have done something the equivalent of greening the White House as a way of sort of demonstrating. You see this in Latin America, you see it to some extent in Asia, where you're using government buildings to demonstrate. That's a really obvious. The other one is key role models in society. So, for example, just a very quick one, in the family planning efforts in Thailand, one of the first things that the Michai, who was one of the most successful proponents, he